SCPs have never been exactly easy to understand. I mean, they're literally supernatural, paranormal, anomalous entities. Sure, you can explain what they do and how they act, but getting into the why is where things get tough. And if you want to examine the nitty-gritty, well, good luck to ya. Not every SCP has remained unexplainable though. Some are eventually solved and put to rest, but most of them are functioning on a level we may never totally understand. And then there are the ones that just flat out bust your brain. You can't just sum it up as like a lizard who hates everything and can't be destroyed, or a cursed TV show. No, there are some that get downright metaphysical, pataphysical, hypothetical, phantasmagorical. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to attempt to understand the top 5 scary SCP monsters no one understands. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more mind-bending madness. Perfect, let's begin. Crunchy gets weighing at number 5, we've got SCP-3959. The less you know, the less you understand, right? Well, sometimes. I feel like knowing too much can make it hard to understand anything. Case in point, logging onto Twitter and feeling your brain melt. But I'll avoid talking about that for now. We'll focus on the information-eating abilities of 3959 instead. This SCP was originally meant to be an algorithm weaponizing information and anti-memes. The Foundation thought it'd be a good idea to put together something like that. It was safe at first, but soon a mild cognitohazardous effect was noticed, and it only got worse from there. Now it's catered, and nobody can control it. And if they could, it's likely they would forget. At this point, after the project to weaponize info was deemed a failure, nobody remembers being involved with it at all. See, what was supposed to only affect certain information soon became infovorous. Carnivores and herbivores take a seat. 3959 gravitates towards any and all large volumes of data in order to consume them, and anything being fed on will redact its own information. There's a whole storeroom at the Foundation full of redacted books, movies, music, and more. The objects affected by this will also generate a powerful anti-memetic effect too, leaving all who contact them out of luck. Information consumed is considered permanently lost from both documentation and human memory. Once it's gone, it is gone. Nobody can say whether it's erasing knowledge outright or somehow retroactively changing causality. Either way, precious info is being deleted from existence, and it won't stop. For some reason, 3959 is doing its best to make it to 3959-1, a tome containing a complete history of the human race. The Foundation has done their best to hide and protect this, but it's inevitable that 3959 will make its way back. Containment breach is imminent. How much have you already forgotten? Coming in at number 4, we've got SCP-4205. Ah yes, the glowing eyes in glass, the insta-killer extraordinaire. I guess it's kind of easy to boil this one down to basics, but that doesn't come close to answering all the questions about it. At its most simple, 4205 is a pair of eyes that only appear in glass, and if you look at them, you die. Kaput. Life fast-forwarded. All electrical potential drained. Apparently, they can stretch their victim's death out for a very long time though. To an observer, it'll seem like instant death, but in the mind of the victim, it can be an eternity. They can be made to experience things that they're not actually experiencing and suffer in very personal ways. The only reason we know this though is thanks to Wade Dalitz, junior researcher. He saw the eyes and apparently didn't immediately die, and when he went to write the containment procedures, he saw them again. And then they kept showing up as his life and career got worse and worse. For whatever reason, being in contact with the eyes and his computer at the same time made it so that his experiences of dying were transferred into the Foundation database. This allowed more people to learn about 4205, but how? Looking into his report may give up some answers, but it also opens up a lot more questions. There's a lot of stuff packed in here. We see correspondence with his assumed dead dad. He gets chewed out by his supervisor. Other reports of people coming in contact with the eyes. Some self-deprecating internal monologuing. Constantly updated containment procedures that get weirder and more aggressive over time. I can stand up and say that I partially understand this one, but there are so many tangents and references to other things I don't know if I'd believe myself. Take a look and enjoy the lovely whir of an old school computer monitor. Coming in at number 3, we've got SCP-3 Triple. This SCP is one researcher's own personal hell. Did I say researcher? I meant author. Written by Lord Stonefish, a longtime SCP Wiki contributor, it's a fascinating look at their interpretation of their relationship with the online community. The author has come forward and said it is indeed about their addiction to the SCP community, their own psyche, and other SCPs that they've written. Once completed, Lord Stonefish decided it would be the last thing they wrote for the site. Sheesh. 3999 is a doozy of a read with plenty of meta self-referential stuff, and it all boils down to a corpse and a cell phone at the bottom of a neglected containment chamber. The actual entity known as 3999 is a reality-altering SCP with the potential to end the world, but instead it just tortures researcher Talaran. Like, this thing has a hate-on for our poor man here. It causes him endless agony, thrashing his body and soul relentlessly. Reality keeps changing, but only in the area observed by Talaran. Eventually he becomes numb and manages to survive for what can only be assumed as hundreds of years inside of an altered world. Through means I don't totally understand, he finds a way to take down the entity, but at the cost of his own life, I think. There are so many loose parts, so many seemingly random elements, and I'm not sure what connects and what doesn't. There are weird, repeating punchlines, the threat of torture and death for all sorts of people, a call for all researchers to convert to Buddhism, references to Nintendo, third-person storytelling passages, and a T.S. Eliot shoutout. In the end, I think the only person who truly understands this entry is the author. And even then, I'm not totally convinced. Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-1383. Welcome to the Motel, California. You can check out anytime you like, but the idea of you can never leave. Or something like that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this one. Okay, here's what I can confidently say I understand. Room number 14 at Motel 6 in California has something weird going on inside. Anyone who enters is physically and mentally unchanged, but they become subject to an effect that causes anyone who thinks about them to believe that they're still physically inside that room. From here, it gets fuzzy. People affected by this can move around no problem and keep track of their own location. However, people who are frequently in contact with these affected individuals often complain of frequent cognitive dissonance. If you were to walk into the hotel room, you would notice hundreds of people milling about, but not really think anything of it. In fact, when first discovered, it was reported as an employee blunder. Like, it was totally reasonable that somebody screwed up and accidentally booked hundreds of people into the same room and then they all coexisted. Right. During the initial containment, a security agent found a piece of paper describing a process that intends to assemble an idea trap using a room or other enclosure and a hypothetical component. You still with me? Because I'm not sure if I'm still with me. A bunch of redacted text follows with short breaks involving second-person writing, false pretenses, and more. Somehow the moon is involved, and a Spanish language organization, and violent crimes that didn't actually happen, and a bunch of people becoming very mad at the fact that they may or may not have happened. Yeah. I actually went through a post on SCP Declassified about 1383 and really came out the other end understanding about the same. If you got any theories or explanations, fire them down in the comments. Okay, now it's time for one last brain breaker before we conclude. Coming in at number 1, we've got SCP-217 Ein. You ready for this? It's a variable abstract metaphysical construct pointer. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Absolutely. Concepts acted upon by SCP-217 will either go in or become inside, and the Foundation wants to restrict info about it to people both sapient and biological. Cool. Below the description is a test log, basically a T-chart of objects, people, and even ideas introduced to 2719. Yeah, we can put ideas inside, I think. Examples of test subjects include D-class personnel, a car, containment units, geographical locations, SCP-682, intestinal distress, and the idea of transcendence. Apparently, it can assign the value of inside to stuff. Then you can use it to assign inside to ideas, and then apply the newly defined inside to other things. I sat here for quite a while trying to fully comprehend what's going on. It's very hypothetical, very abstract. I'm not sure if I have the type of brain meant for this kind of thing, but hey, that's why it made the list. There's another SCP Declassified that explains it pretty thoroughly, which I will link below. Let me know if you get it. I want to pick your brain. How are your domes? Is steam shooting out your ears yet? Cool. So what'd you think of the list? Which do you think you've got a handle on? Any you'll never get? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more platonic ones from top 5 scary monsters from Japanese folklore. The Horned King says the Gashidokuro is my favorite. It's a giant skeleton 15 times as big as a human and can turn invisible and is actually really stealthy, indestructible, and bites people's heads off to drink their blood. Also, it spawns from mass graves of people that died from starvation. Also, if you hear ringing in your ears, that means one is close by, so get ready to run. Naruto Anime says, I didn't see any Kuchisaka Onna on your list. Maybe I'm saving her for the next one. Zachzilla says, never understood why anyone likes Napoleon Dynamite. Sounds like you never had anyone to play tetherball with, you freaking idiot. Jeffrey Coover says, now my girlfriend wants to go to Japan. Help. Well, I don't think you'll be traveling anytime soon, which gives you time to devise some monster avoidance strategies. Maybe craft some ward tags too. And Laura Anderson says, these are awesome. Thank you. Keep an eye out for potentially more in the future. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I lug my electromagnet into a sword shop, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more head-hurting hellishness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.